Hi, Mohit.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Let me turn on my camera.
Yeah.
Am I visible?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, all. Wishing you a very happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to Mohit.
Okay, you too.
Thank you.
So,
So, guys, so let me give a quick introduction to Mohit. So, basically, I know him almost from last 1 year. We met personally a couple of times, during the AWS, Pune annual day event, as well as he visited here Hyderabad for um, what is that, CNCF event.
you've gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a KubeCon 2025. So we met a couple of times, and please join me in welcoming Mohit Dharmadhikari. And he's an accomplished engineer leader with he have good amount of experience. He have 18 years of experience in building, scaling, and leading enterprise grade and cloud native systems. And he held in senior leadership position. He worked as he deal with multiple roles like architectural roles like across globally recognized organizations like Merkel and Transfact and Accenture, right? And he served as head of engineering at Merkel. And so his expertise is not just limited to Git, but here we are going to take his help to understand how actually this Git works and how this every DevOps engineer should know the Git and Git concept, how we can use this Git in this particular SDLC process, and also a bit hands-on as well, how we can configure Git and how we can actually start using Git or GitHub for your DevOps learning. And yeah, Mohit, we are delighted to have you here, and we look forward to learn from your experience and insights. So over to you, Mohit.
Thank you very much, Vinesh bhai. I mean, this is really pending long, and thank you very much for make it happen this year. I hope my audio is pretty reasonable. Yes, everybody can hear me well.
Yes.
Okay, so in case if possible, I just would like to know the audience bit if you can create a poll, like anyone from non-technical background, or at least if anyone have some high-level knowledge of programming, maybe hello world. We don't need more than that. So just a quick poll if we can take the audience, uh, at least from Zoom meeting, those who are joined on Zoom. Is there any way we can take poll, or maybe people in the chat box, you can just type one if you are technical background, or you can type two if you are from non-technical background. Even that way also work.
Let me
So
adjust that settings, chart settings then.
okay, yeah, okay, sure,
Right. Yeah.
great. The reason I'm asking is because there has been a lot of questions that should we get into DevOps from non-technical background or not. But yeah, I mean the answer is yes, in short, and then we will see what Git has to offer us, and then our flow would be mostly like uh, I assume most of you already know some Git commands, and we are today going to uncover some hidden behind the scenes or understanding why behind it, and that will certainly help all of us to navigate in future if you're working on banking strategies, how I should create a banking strategies future proof for production deployments. Okay, I'm not sure how much we are going to cover into hours, but for sure, I'm going to give you a thought process that what you gonna need in these 2 hours, right? So I hope all are excited for this. Uh, Let me try to share my screen. Meanwhile, let me check the responses. Okay, we at least have 2 responses. So all good. And you would gonna track for YouTube, right, Avinash?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I can track. Yeah, we are getting some responses from YouTube
Sure.
as well.
Uh, I hope my screen is visible to the team.
Yeah, it would be great if you zoom a bit.
Sure. Yes. Uh, so bare minimum thing, guys, as we are going to talk about Git a lot. So what we're gonna need is Git Bash. Uh, but before that, let me start the presentation part. Uh, I hope a presentation is also up and live, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I am not going to spend time on this as already introduced by Avinash. I just I'm conducting this Git deep dive session since 2021. So you are on safe hands. Be rest assured. While you listen to me, I have been featured 2 times in Times Square, New York, by TopMate for these sessions. And yeah, I mean, before we start to deep dive into Git, understanding Git, we really need to know why we are doing this. So trust me, based on my 18 years of experience, I would say this is most underrated tool that by both developers and DevOps professionals. And I have been working in Git since 2010, 2012. And trust me, to understand a good level of Git or some kind of expertise, I would say it take at least 7 years for me to understand why things are working this way. So today I'm going to provide you that thought process, that how we should look at the version control. uh, I don't need to tell this. This is very much modest figure that more than 95% projects rely on Git. Yes, the number could grow up like 97, 98. I just wanted to be a modest there. So are you? So just to clear the context, if you are on GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Azure repos, and recently AWS have brought their superhero code commit. So all these platforms are somewhere hosting Git in the background, right? So that way, even if you are saying you are on GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab, somewhere Git is installed on some server on some virtual machine for you. Yes, back in Australia, it was almost costed me a job because of a wrong merge conflict in the rebase. So the beautiful thing is, sorry, I would say something which is not working good when you work on specifically scripted based language like Python or JavaScript. You don't get compile timer, right? Because they are interpreted language. So when you merge your PR, if there is an automated build, compilation error could have caught that error. But in my case, unfortunately, because of JavaScript, that actually went that bad commit went into production, and then no DevOps pipeline will gonna help you, because your code base, if your code base is not correct, that's something developer has to fix it. And if not, then you have to ensure that you have right branching strategies, so that only properly tested code is going to deploy in production. And lastly, uh, the main important reason for all of us is we all DevOps and cloud engineers or developers are mostly working on Linux. Uh, Most of the production workloads are running on Linux, and Git is created by Linux Robots itself. So this is created back in 2005. So I think if you have to basically validate uh, any tool in terms of time, right? How much time wasted it is? It's more than almost 2 decades, and we still are on Git. So certainly we have to basically focus more cautiously, more curiosity, more with more curiosity, just to understand it. Uh, are we okay so far? Yes. I will just quickly uh, just call out why that I am going to assume that you at least are not from any Scrum Master or project manager background. Everybody either from development background or at least want to make career into the DevOps and cloud world. Uh, that is the only thing that I would like to call out. So okay, let's get started. I mean, pretty one everyone knows this definition of Git, that Git is an application that does distributed version control, right? But when I started in Git, I already have a good experience, around 12 years of experience in version control systems. But at that time, those version control systems are centralized version control systems. So mostly I used to think like, okay, there are tools and they come and go, right? So this is one of the tool, because I used to work on VSS, which is Visual Source Safe. Nowadays, you call it as Team Foundation Server. Then Subversion, Perforce. These are the central version control system I have worked on. And then suddenly, in I guess 2008 or 9, I started working on Git. And I was carrying that technical baggage that it is just a new tool. And that is something gone horribly wrong till year 2018. And then, then I started introspection and working more, knowing more about Git, understanding more about Git. So trust me if I tell you this one line definition, I didn't make any sense out of it. So what we need to do is we need to start with a quote from Einstein. That quote is, any fool can know, the point is to understand, right? So we're going to use this quote in our day-to-day DevOps journey. So before we breaking down Git, uh, we have to break it down Git into two parts. One is Git is an application. So at high level, application is nothing but a program which actually runs in your operating system, be it like Hello World. So let what we can do is I can quickly show how a Hello World application is very much similar to Git, so that we can understand this part of the definition, which is, in a nutshell, Git is an application that does version source control. So uh, again, you don't need to follow it. I will just quickly demo it. Uh, yeah. So this is. I hope my screen is visible. Just give me in chat box. I hope you can still see my screen. You can see VS Code here. Okay. So what we are going to do is we first need to understand how a simple Hello World program is synonymous to Git, and then I will come to this part why we are looking into this program. So nothing fancy. I'm just going to do a printf Hello World in our Git program, for in our simple Hello World program. Okay. So what I will do is uh, I will basically go to this path, and then I will run the program. Yes. So if you can see, we have this Hello World working, right? So it is nothing fancy. I have just run an application, a simple Hello World application. So then, Mohit, what is the similarity in Git and this? So similarity is like, if I just type Git over here, I can see a bunch of printf statements for us, right? So my program is also printing Hello World. Git program is also printing some bunch of printf statements. But in case, in terms of Git, it is actually helping us to navigate how you can use Git, right? So basically, Git is also printing some printf statements, but those are called documentation or help command of the Git. So that is one part. Uh, we can have this analogy. The other part I would like to call out is that, let's do CLS, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my code a bit. So what I'm gonna do is, like we have commands like git init, git add, git commit, right? We used to fire these commands in Git. Similarly, what we're going to do is we are going to run same commands on our in our program. so that we can have actually map end to end what is Hello World, a simple application that we created, and what is the common with Git, right? So when I run the program now, I can see the total number of arguments I have passed to this command. Actually, I didn't pass any arguments, but when you run the application, by default, your program name becomes your argument, right? But that is not something I would like to show you. What I would like to show you is dot exe, and then like you say git add, or sometimes you say git commit. Uh, let's say push. That's what you are gonna do, right, in Git. So similarly, my program is basically understanding those as arguments and dumping on the screen. So what I have did is I'm just passing the same arguments that you pass to Git program, like git add, commit, or push, and I'm just basically uh, getting them from the command line. This is how we get the commands from our program, and I'm iterating over what are the number of arguments I have passed to my program. So back again, for example, if I would like to do the same thing, welcome to Aviz Academy. So all these arguments have broken down into 5 parts. So it is basically captured from space. So first argument is by default your program name, second, third, fourth, and fifth. This is how our program is basically understanding these arguments. In our case, I'm just printing it. I'm nothing doing it fancy. But in Git case, when you do Git init, in that case, or when you do Git add, in that case, these are basically interpreted by Git and do some specific task, right? So this is very much important. So when you do Git add, what is happening behind the scenes is Git has some logic here to interpret your commands and take some actions on it. Are we good so far? Just give me in the chat box so that we can proceed. Is this going good so far?
Yes, Mohit, it's going well. And
Yeah.
just to give a context, so generally, whenever we start works with Git,
Hmm.
right? So the
Hmm.
command or the first command we have to initialize a repository.
Yes.
Git, we always start with Git init. Then whatever the files we are placing in the directory, we have to ask this Git to track those files.
Correct.
Right. So for
Yes.
the track, we have to add git add the directory name, or you can simply give dot.
Dot. Yes.
Okay. So then git is going to start tracking all the files or the changes happening in the directory. So
Correct.
what actually Mohit is doing here, he is showing us the behind the scenes. So this is the first time I'm seeing someone who is explaining, okay, whenever you execute a command, what actually happens in the backend. Right. So that's a, good explanation, Mohit. Yeah, we everybody loves to see what actually happens behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
yeah, we are good so far.
Sure. And I'm certainly after or when we end with this session, we have at least one detailed interview question discussed, which is more of Mangus or Fangus. So we have a good understanding about the Git. So stay tuned, guys. Now, most of you, since you are on DevOps or cloud background, you even if you are from programming background, you must have installed Python or Java or .NET, whatever language you are working on. You have heard something called environment variable, right? At least you have set up the path environment variable. So what? So this is more of a OS concept. Is not new to programming or not from Git perspective. What I'm doing is, irrespective of how your program is created, whether it is from Java, .NET, or a natural C language program or Go language program, Rust program, every program in the world, okay, this is very much important. Every program in the world, the operating system gives some gifts for every program. This is a rule of operating system that it gives some gifts to the every process, and that gift is nothing but your standard terminal, which is standard input, output. So because that's the only reason I'm able to print f, right? Otherwise, my program would not able to print f. I need a device access. Yes. So /dev/tty. Those who are from Linux background, they know what I'm talking about, right? But those who are non-technical, what we need to understand for right now is every process, and this when I am gonna run this application, it becomes a process. Your Git application again is process, right? The Zoom meeting, the people who are joined from their browser are nothing but the applications process in the computer, right, or operating system. So every process have access to operating system environment variable. So what I'm going to dump is I'm just going to dump top 20. So nothing fancy. I'm just iterating. Give me the top 20 environment variables, and I have not created anything. I'm just asking this from the function. So as I said, right, this is the syntax of main function. Doesn't matter which language you are doing, but you have access, your process have access to environment variables. So let's build it again because I have changed it, a code a bit. And now what I will do is I will do CLS and I need to build it again. So build it and look at this. So I'm not sure if this Zoom level is okay or not. So I have Chocolatey as a Windows package manager. If you are from Debian side of Linux, you use apt-get or apt install. In Windows, you have Chocolatey. With Windows 11, you have Wingate. Then we have, if you are working on machine learning or AI/ML applications, then for sure you will need CUDA to run it. So NVIDIA GPU. So these are the top 20 environment variables in my system. Why in my system? Because this program I'm running on my system, right? Git also have some environment variables and that are created by Git itself. So, or sometimes it's by installation and sometimes during the program, right? Just a side note that these are the environment variables. So, when you
Hi,
actually
Mohit.
run Git, yeah, any add-on, Avinash?
Hi, hi, Mohit. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
Right now, you just wrote the program.
Mhm.
What is the program about? Can you explain me? So,
Sorry, come again. What is?
um, what type of program you written right now? Like, is Bash program?
Yeah, it's a just simple bash program. Hello world, just written hello world, printf, hello world C program, nothing else.
Okay,
And
okay,
I'm
this is
just
C
using,
program.
yeah, just C program only. Yeah, I'm just using printf. All the printf, if you see, I'm only using printf, hello world statements. And then I'm iterating whatever operating system passing to me. So
Okay,
operating system give you these goodies, I would say these goodies to every process, not just C program, every process that it can have access to environment path. So if you have worked on DevOps side. So what?
I, I work on Linux.
Okay, you worked on this, right? So mostly when you type git add, git commit, or if you go bash and if you're entering git, that means somewhere git has stored the environment variable, path environment variable, so that it can reach out to that process, particular process. So I'm just dumping those.
Okay,
Now the actual question for us is why we have seen this hello world program. So if you learn one thing, you can apply it to many, right? So I know most of us also learning AWS DevOps, right, from uh, Avinash sir. So you might be using AWS CLI, yes, at least those who have completed, you have used this AWS configure, yes. This is what AWS CLI, right, or you AWS create EC2. So what is happening behind the scene? AWS has created a tool, again program like our Hello World, and they have accepting some kind of input parameters, like, and then you need to provide your uh, access keys or secret key so that you can actually create or provision resources in AWS infrastructure. Or those who are from DevOps background, what you do Terraform and then apply, right, or Terraform init. What is happening behind the scene? Again, the same thing. So be it a Git, be it a Terraform, be it a Ansible, all these are nothing but an application which are doing something for you. The only thing is, in case of Git, let me zoom in a font a bit. In case of Git, when you do Git init, it's Git program's job how it should basically implement it and take some action. So here it will be, in my case, I'm just printing. What Git will do? It will do something else. We will see it later, okay? But Git will do something else. Terraform will do something else. AWS CLI will do something else. Azure CLI will do. But ultimately, they are all nothing but the program. So if you learn one thing, you can map to other uh, other tools in the DevOps or any tool rather. Are we good so far? Any questions till this point? Yes, guys. Oh, I will take silence as no. Uh, okay, so first part we have seen of the definition we have seen is first part of the definition we have seen as Git is an application that does distributed version control. Okay, so we are now super clear with this part. What is the application part of it? Now we are going to look into the distributed version control part of the Git. Okay, why? Because after understanding application, then that it makes sense to go and understand what actually Git is mean by distributed version control. Okay. So for every application, every technology you use, what we start with a basic high level syntax, how it works. So let to get feel of that, right? Since we all have GitHub repositories, we have GitHub account, and we have done some kind of work on Linux, on DevOps, on cloud, and we have pushed our work to Git. Now the next step is to go more of an intermediate, go more of senior thing where we need to understand why we have done so far, right? So again, DevOps is iterative development, right? Continuous integration. So if you learn one thing in one shot, you have used to of a lot of tools, you understand a lot of processes, be it code version control, or pipeline, building pipeline, then testing, then monitoring, deployment, release. All this we have learned, right? So what's the next step? Because this is one part, right? This is one part of the process. We get used to of DevOps. Now we know we have been confident at process level. Now the next step is to getting more into the technical side of things. So that how actually industry work, how I can get the real world insights of the the things I have learned so far, right? And for that, you need to focus on the architecture part of it. So I would say this is not just for a Git, a high level, any version control, any damn version control you are going to work, you have already worked on, or you are going to work in future, right? For any version control, this would be a very high level architecture. But this is mostly applied for distributed version control, not a centralized. We will later sometimes if we get some time, we will see what is centralized version control. But for now, our focus is purely on perspective of basically preparing for interviews, preparing for high level understanding of the things, right? So there is a lot of buzz that we say Git is a distributed version control, right? But for that, I first understand what is version control, right? So think this is an onion. So if you have know a bit of Linux or OS concepts high level, generally this diagram is represented for the OS. So this small circle, either you can would say hardware, right? Then this a little bigger circle, you call it as a kernel. I know most of the developers or cloud ops professional know of this, right? And kernel, then we have, let's say, OS or system utilities, and then high level is user applications. So here we have Word, PowerPoint, Chrome, even our Git. They are nothing but the user applications, right? So why not we apply the same kind of concepts to while learning Git or understanding Git? So let's say at Git, a very higher level, right? This I generally call it as an onion. So this an onion, we are going to peel out this onion to understand very fundamentals of Git, uh, how Git actually internally works, right? So for that, we need to peel this onion outside, from outside. That's what we do, right? So distribute version control. How I can peel out this layer? So there are three words: distributed, or maybe let's say two words: distributed and version control. So what distributed means? So in a nutshell, we call distributed is a set of machines, clusters, or we can, let's say Avis Academy. Again, we are distributed, right? You might be joining from various part of it, right? So distributed. So in context of cloud or cloud native, distributed means a cluster of machines. So if I need to peel out this layer, outer layer, what I need to assume is there is only one computer in the world or only one laptop in the world, which is mine. So if I assume this, I come to this version control layer, right? Now, what actually mean by version control? So what we'll do real life analogy and we try to understand this architecture. So in real life, right from when you born to today you're attending this session, right? Your maturity, your understanding, your smartness have changed, right? They are improved. So you naturally you can say that today I'm the better version of myself than 10 years back, right? You might have a good education, right? You have done engineering, then you have done maybe MBA, right? Some have done job, maybe girlfriend breakups, right? But what you did so far, it is your experience, and day by day, your maturity, your understanding, how to behave, what to say, what not to say. So you have improved at least in last decade or decade and a half, right? That's we can say. So I can say that I am today I'm the more better version than 10 years back or 15 years back, right? I was a fresher 10 years back, but now I'm working as a technical expert in some field, right? So I'm a better version. But then what we lack in real life is the control. We are better version of ourselves, but what we are lacking is a control. Why we are lacking? Because at least till that we didn't see that we can go back in time, right? Hopefully there will be time machine and we'll go back. But for now, uh, if I have not done my graduation properly, I have not scored it well, there is no way I can go back and fix it, right? The only way I can go back is to, okay, this is a mistake I have done. Now I should not do this. This is how you can introspect, but you don't have a control where you can go back and fix the things in that particular time, right? But in software, we have that control, right? That's the reason we can, if something goes down in the production, we fix it. I hope you all are remember US East one outage of AWS recently, right? So there has been a lot of AI developers, and that is going a challenge, I would say, in the industry. You have someone who expertise, right? So there was a DNS issue. Someone has to debug it. Someone has to find it, the root cause, and then fix it. Yes, and that's how we have ensured the AWS back again. This was not just with the AWS; it goes to Azure, GCP. These are all ultimately the physical machines that can go down. There can be a flood. There can be a fire, right? But at least we have that control so that our application go 24/7. That's you have disaster recovery, high availability way of working things or configuring things, right? So to so if I understand that, okay, in the software world, if I have control or someone giving me control to basically have my software, either I can integrate or I can roll back, right? I can have an improvement in it, or if it's something broken, I can roll back to it, right? If I have such control, that means someone someone is ensuring that it is tracking every change of my code, every small change of my code. Someone is tracking. So when I understand that I have control, I peel out this layer and then I go more deeper. Okay, then there is someone who is tracking for me. Now tracking is very easy, is very common word, right? We have a smartwatch today. We have smartphones. So when we walk, we say we should walk 10,000 steps a day. So this is something tracking, right? We every day track our we track our health. During COVID, we have tracked our SpO2, oxygen levels, and all, right? So tracking is not new. What is the content? Why content here? Because all version control are used to track source, right? Source code. Why content? Is there something wrong with the architecture? No. So it's a deliberately I have put content. Why? Because though though most of us going to use any version control for source code. It can be any language, C, C++, Python, Java, .NET. If you are from DevOps background, you have your YAML for Kubernetes or CloudFormation, all this stuff, right? You might have config files, but what Git is saying that Git is not constrained to only these things. What I mean by that, you can store PDF in Git, you can store documents, Word documents, you can store images, even you can store movies, right? So Git is not constrained by only source code. Though 99% of the time we use Git for this, but Git doesn't have such constraint. So when you don't have a constraint specific to any specific file type, then such tracker is known as content tracker. So if you have no bit of API stuff, if you're from REST API background, then there is a content type field. So it asks what is the content type. We say application or JSON, right? HTML. In browser, the content type becomes HTML. And that's the reason this word came from, content. Yes, so far so good. Yes, I hope we are understanding the things. So when I say that if I assume that let's focus on the one thing, the small thing, which is my computer, then I peel out distributed layer. When I understand there is a control in my hand so that I can improve and track as well, then I have figured out that there is a content tracker layer. But now the core of it, we need to reach core of it. So if someone is ensuring that every piece of change gets tracked, that means there is someone who is saving that piece of code somewhere, right? Every change somewhere should be a persisted. And that would be my starting point of my curiosity. If I understood this layer, then only I can understand the inner workings of it. And why it is that? Why I need to understand this? I'm never going to use this. Always going to use git init, git add, git commit. Yes, you are right. But you are not going to be always on fresher salary, right? You have to jump on a senior salary as well, right? We need to ask why, right? Other thing is, there are 1,000 developers, even freshers know this flow of git init, git add, git commit, right? What's the differentiation I am bringing to the table? What's the value I'm giving, right? If you're from DevOps background, the outcome of DevOps is nothing but just automated application deployment. That outcome, in pure terms, in business context, is the value. How much new features or bug fixes you are delivering in short amount of time, right? Why we have done DevOps is very much important question. Why DevOps? Because you are delivering the value. So this infinite DevOps cycle is you are constantly delivering new value to the clients, and that's the reason they are very much depend on. That's the reason it is very much respected. I would say profile. So if I have just continued with the flow and I don't understand why, then it will be very difficult for me to grow in the career, right? I generally give the example of construction lines. So if there is a big apartment or societies, building nearby, right? There is a lot of buildings and construction going on. You have seen at least hundreds to 300 people ensuring that construction, day and night, it is building properly. But you will see, excuse me, guys. But you will see hardly three to five people who are with some kind of sheet, a white sheet, and they have some kind of plan, right? They have some kind of plan like this. We call it as architecture diagram, right? And these 3 to 5 people, based on their work, these are following those instructions how to create it. So certainly we should start from this because we need to start. But after we have uh, learned enough, then the other thing is how we can be in those things. In terms of AI, if you see, uh, we used to know that AI will take a job, or a person who is using AI will take a job. But that person, who will be that person? That person will be someone who's senior, who knows why, what is happening behind the things. So after learning, your next step should be understanding why I'm doing this, because that way it will help you to take a rational decision, informed decision. Okay, this time I shouldn't go for this branching study. I should go for this branching. No, I shouldn't do rebase here. I should do merge. So how you can think only when you understand how why behind it and how things working behind the scenes, right? So after trust me guys, after working 12 years in Git, I was only know Git init, Git add, Git commit, right? Is when the uh, the disaster hit me, right? That one wrong rebase, and I have been basically questioned from left, right, and center. So we don't need to learn when something bad happens, right? We have this habit of improving ourselves. We are on this journey, right? Continuous integration. So that's the reason we have to focus on persistence. So if Hello World application opens up doors for AWS CLI, Terraform, then Ansible, Azure CLI, any damn CLI that you use, right? Even your MKDIR, it's a program, right? Your change directory is a program, right? That change directory, you need to tell a path. MKDIR, you need a name, right? This name is nothing but argument. So similarly, I need to understand Git from this perspective. And I should coming inside out. That would give me a thorough understanding what Git wants to tell me, right? So let's, with this, what I will do is, we will all together, we'll do one assignment, one practical assignment, how this layer works, okay? So we have pretty less time. We have need to go a lot of content. What I would request is to start with Git Bash terminal, okay? But before that, are we clear so far? Yes. What are the challenges developers face before Git? This is an awesome question. Thank you, Avinash. So when there was no Git, actually I used to cover this since we have little much time, but no worries, I would cover that. So before Git, there was some version source control, as I said, centralized version control, Perforce, SV, and Tortoise. And before that, before version control, what used to happen? So I'm sure you have heard the Starball utility, which is a zip. In Windows, we call it a zip. So people used to share their code using Tarball. Uh, so one or two developers is fine, right? But as Linux kernel development team grow, they would need some kind of tool which manage the code base from all the developers. So they use Tarball. Before that, they have used network file storage. So it is very difficult to manage versions, right? Imagine 100 developers working on one task, one solution. We know, right? Kernel development team is quite bigger. So 200, 300 people working, and they are sharing their code base using this zip file, and everyone needs to unzip it and try to take which line of code change, right? This is very difficult. And that's the reason we have version control. But Git is much more different than other version control. So if we get time, we'll certainly discuss this in more detail. So thanks for the question. It's a really good question. What does Git status actually check internally, and how does Git track file changes? We are going to do it live. So if you are ready, please start Git Bash terminal. But just quick check: are we good so far? Are we in? Yes, everybody. Let's have this interaction. Everybody's understanding why we are doing this. Yes. Just type 1 in the chat box. Okay, because I am okay, great. Avinash has already, because I can't see the comment from YouTube. At least I can see the comments from.
The questions I posted here is from YouTube only. I got one more
Okay,
question. I'm sharing it from actually YouTube.
sure, sure. So from YouTube, anyway, we are going to start the practical understanding of this layer so that it will help us how Git actually tracks the thing.
Hmm.
So what is the difference between Git pull and Git fetch? Which one is separate things? In short, Git fetch is better. Git pull internally does merge for you, but this is itself a 2 hours of topic. So I just give short answer. If you would like to understand this, we will connect. a letter. So all of you need to go ahead and start this Git bash. I will zoom it a bit. I hope these fonts look good, Avinash.
Yes, Mohit.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll completely start from scratch. So create a totally new directory. Don't create any directory under any existing repository. Create a directory right from the root. I think if you are okay, you can create inside the root. The second assumption I am calling out is that you are working on Windows and you are actually utilizing Git Bash. Please don't ask me the reason why, because it will take more time. But for now, since everybody should be on one page, I want you to have on Windows laptop with Git Bash is your terminal, not a PowerShell, not a command. Okay. I assume that those who are joining and listening to me, they have some familiarity with Linux commands. If not, I'm going to explain anyway what I'm typing. mkdir is a command which creates a directory for you. So what I'm going to do, I do git underscore aways, right? So that it will be a blank new directory, and that's where we are going to learn something. Okay, trust me. Next 1 hour, we are going to look one of the very important interview concepts or interview topic. Okay, so stay tuned. And then I need to go inside the directory again. So here mkdir is a program similar to our hello world, and it is taking a name or path as an argument, right? That's the reason I have shown you why we need to learn hello world program. Okay, cd, and then again I need to provide the path. Since I know I have created this directory in the same uh, folder right here, and that's the reason I don't need to give complete path. Yes. So what we have done, we have only created a new directory and we got inside it, right? If I need to check, is there anything ls-a? It's nothing, right? So it's a blank new directory I have just created. I have done it. I am assuming you are following with me. Are we good so far? Should we proceed? Is everybody with me? At least from Zoom, those people are in Zoom. YouTube can follow later, right? They have option to go back. Okay, at least I give one thumbs up from the Zoom meeting. Is everyone created this new directory and changed to this directory? Yes, everybody with me till this point from Zoom team, or at least maybe Avinash, if you have access to YouTube, if someone is till this point, I'm more than happy to proceed. Just don't want someone to left behind. So just open the Git bash. Okay, great. So open the Git bash, create a directory, and that directory shouldn't, and even that directory parent doesn't have any repository. Okay, so it should be a blank. So now what we're gonna do? Our job. What is our task? Our task is to understand persistence layer, how Git actually storing your content. Because once you understand how it is storing, then only you will understand how it is tracking, and then you understand how it is version controlling. And once you do version control, that's where we are going to introduce ourselves to distributed way of things. What actually we mean by distributed? Because till the time, unless we don't know version control or don't understand version control, we will not understand content tracker, we will not understand persistence here. So let's start from pretty basics. Okay, what is persistence? So persistence means storing the things. So what we need to do is we need to ask Git, hey Git, for any for your start in programming world or your start in IT world, what you do hello world, right? That's how most of us we start hello world. So what I'm gonna do, this I'm asking the same question to Git. Hey Git, I want you to store hello world for me. And if you can store this string, then only I can give my YAML files of Kubernetes or YAML Helm files, or I can give my CloudFormation files, or I can give you my Docker file. If you can do this, only then I can give my Python Flask API, because if I don't get a confidence in you, how I can give you give all these things to manage, right? So this is the question we, as an engineer, we should ask. So hello world, what we're gonna do is I want to store hello world in Git. Okay, this is our problem statement for today. So most of us have seen these command with git init, add, commit, and push, right? And in these we have worked with either GitHub, Bitbucket, and then maybe Azure repos, and also your favorite AWS code commit, right? These are service providers for Git. So it can be anyone, doesn't matter. But these are something we have used so far, right? So to understand persistence layer, we we will we will need other type of commands in Git. So there are two types of commands in Git. The one we have used so far is called Porcelain commands. Git init, add, uh, forget about my spelling, but they're Porcelain commands. And the other type is plumbing commands. So in terms of Linus Torvalds, right? If we want to understand thought process of Linus Torvalds, and this is very shitty terminology. So porcelain, the word porcelain means it's a ceramic bowl, but in our construction world, we call as a commode, right? A toilet. So it's really shitty terminology. So porcelain is a commode, a toilet, right? So normally we use toilet every day. But if something's bad happen with our commode, like let's say it gets choked or it's leaking, we need someone. We need plumber, right? So we know this. Now we need to understand the plumbing of Git, right? And that's why plumbing, because plumbing is the internal. So every porcelain command goes via this plumbing command. And if I focus on this, then only I will able to understand how Git works internally. Okay. So then which are the plumbing commands that we're gonna see now, right? So the first plumbing command that I'm gonna need is hash object, right? I'm going to explain this, no worries. But what I want you, I'm going to copy paste this so that you will not make even typo, spelling typo. Okay. So the output of this command should be a blank. So when I enter this, it should be a blank. If someone is getting error, then check your installation of Git. Okay. Ideally, this command should give you a blank output, means that command is successful, right? There are two words, hash and object. Yes, object is anything. If you're programming background, you have, let's say, employee class, and then you create object of employee, right? Even if it's in Python, you create object, right? So that is kind of object is nothing but an entity. Yes. Why hash? We'll come to this part later. But for now, our problem statement, we need to go into problem statement, right? The problem statement is that I need to store hello world inside Git. Okay. I need to persist. So Git hash object. And the way we are going to learn is we will do deliberate mistakes and we will work on that mistakes. Why that error is, right? So we'll deliberately do mistakes. We see error. What is the error? We understand that error and then we'll fix it. Okay. So Git hash object. I want Git to store hello world. Okay. This is I want to store. So if I enter right now, I'm certainly gonna hit some error for sure, right? Why is that? Because I have read this documentation of hash object. I have read the documentation of hash object. And what is the error meaning? So here error means could not open hello world for reading no such file or directory. So what it means is that Git hash object. So Git is a program hash object is the command in Git, and hello world is of a second argument. So this is a Git program, and I am then passing this as an argument, right? That's the reason we have seen hello world application. So this Git hash object, this command inside Git code, it is expecting some kind of file or directory, and I didn't pass file, I passed hello world, and that's the reason it is company, right? Now either I can create a file and write hello world inside it, but then it actually basically contradicts my problem statement. I first want to plain store a simple object kind of hello world. Only then I'm going to pass files and directories to Git, right? So then here what we need to do is we need to utilize our operating system knowledge. Okay, at least Linux shell scripting knowledge. So what I'm gonna do, I'm now gonna type hello world with echo command. So those who are not familiar with echo command, what echo does, it's a self-explanatory, right? Whatever you're gonna give it, it is going to give you back, right? I echo you, I second your echo, I support your opinion, right? That's what echo. So whatever you give echo command, it will give you back. So what I'm gonna do is right now, okay, let's do echo hello world. But I'm not, so I know I cannot pass directly hello world to hash object. Then what I'm gonna do, I'm going to use this. This is called as a pipe operator in Linux, okay, or Linux shell scripting. And then I'm going to type git hash object again, right? So I will just explain this command. Those who are from non-technical background, we have seen this command. So output of this command, the output of this command, which is hello world, is passed to this guy, okay. So why this called as a pipe? Again, very simple analogy of our day-to-day life, right? We have a pipe to water the plants, right? Or wash the cars. So one end of pipe, this one end of the pipe is attached to the a tap, right? A water tap, and the other end of the pipe either for you are washing the car or watering the plants, right? So what is the water here? This hello world is going to be water passed from the pipe and will go to Git program. Yes, are we good so far? Yes. And this is how I'm gonna type. At least this time I don't have any error. And this is the time I don't have any error, but I don't get any output as well. So I will just put this in the chat box for all of you. This time I didn't get error. That is the positive thing, right? But what happened? Why this is blank? So problem is that this command executed well. The hello world get passed from the pipe and gone to the Git. But problem is, as Git mentioned, that hash object needs some kind of input in terms of file or directory. And since this, we haven't told that you are going to receive the file. Yes, you are going to receive the file, but not by actual file, but from the terminal. So I need to tell hash object, hey, you are going to receive the file, but it is not a file from hard disk. It is a file from the input. So that's when I said, right, every program in the world have some goodies from operating system. That goodies are standard input. This is very much important because this is your Linux concepts. Standard output and standard error. These are the three files that always, or device files that always open for you for any program, right? So normally when you say word count and then you give some file, right? Hello.txt. So what you are doing is you are inputting that file, that standard input. If you doing echo, or if you, let's say, word count and this file, some file, and then you do output like this, right? So that is standard out. And then if you want to see the logs or dump the logs, these, if there are any errors, you do two greater than, right? These are nothing but standard input, standard output, and standard error, right? So what I'm gonna do is I need to tell Git that you are going to receive hello world as a file only, but not from the way you are expecting. The way I am giving is with the help of standard input, right? Which is standard input is console. Why? Because this echo command has actually dump the hello world on the console. But instead of dumping, now I'm passing it to via pipe to git hash object. Okay, now I get some weird characters. Again, okay, the problem statement, I am interested in my git to store hello world for me. So in this journey, I'm understanding some plumbing commands of git. Okay, at least I'm here somewhere. Now I have removed all my errors, all my blockers, but now I got something, a weird set of characters. Now it's time to understand what these characters are mean, right? And that's where we need to have some background of programming. No worries, if you haven't done any programming, we'll make it a real world analogies. Okay. So as I said, right, we have done hash object. We have used hash object plumbing command to store an object. So object is pretty well-known terms, very routine live term. Hash is something very much related to some kind of security integrity, right? So why hash? Why Git is using hash? By the end of session, if we get time, we certainly gonna touch that. What I'm telling is, generally what this command is doing is, it is basically hashing the content, this hello world content, hashing it and storing it somewhere. It is storing it somewhere. And we know, right, every hash is, the output of every hash is key. So those who don't know hash, so hash is a function, very high level. Hash is a function which takes some input. In our case, hello world is the input, and it will generate a unique key for that. So output of hash function, so this is what hash does. It takes input and generate output as a key, right? So why, so what are the main, so which function I should call as a hash function? So there are 4 constraints, 4 criterias to understand that function is qualified as a hash function. So one is, it should always give unique key. So output should be always a unique key if the input is unique. Okay. Second is, based on this key, so whatever the output is, based on this key, you should not able to derive what was the input. Okay. So it should be a secure. That's the reason is, it should be a secure, right? So based whatever input you have given, based on the output, you should not figure out that this is for hello world, right? Since we are doing it live, you have seen this key, but if I have just directly give you this key, you will not able to figure out that this is keys for hello world, right? So output is, so you should not able to derive, you should not able to derive, not, should not able to derive input from the output. Third is, any slightest change in the input, slightest change in input will give you a new key. That's why, that's the rule of the first rule, right? Slightest change will give a new key. We will test this. And the fourth one is, hashing is one-way operation. So like you have encryption and then decryption. So it is two-way, right? First you encrypt and then you decrypt. But that's not hashing is. You hash it, that's it. You cannot dehash. There is no kind of dehash. Yes. So it's a one-way operation. So if any function follow these 4 constraints, that function can be known as hashing function. Mohit, why do we need this? We'll come to that part. Okay. That's the reason we need some patience, 1 hour, and then we will understand everything what Git trying to communicate to us. Okay. So now let's first validate third criteria of hashing function. What I'm going to do, I am going to change hello world w. I'm making it a small case. Okay. Just minute change, nothing major. Look at the hash. So earlier, my hello world, H capital in hello, then comma, then space, and then W capital in the world. Okay. What I have done? I have done W small. And that's the reason you got a different hash. What I will do is, I will just put this command in the chat box. so people can try it. Okay, so this is how we have validated the third constraint of Git. Okay, now our main goal, right? Let me again go back, and so our main goal was that I need, so I have given hello world to Git, I should get hello world back. Those who are from non-technical background understand this hash object as a terminology of uh, bank and customer. Okay, so if you have some cash, okay, you can have cash, you can have gold, silver, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency documents, your will papers, important documents, right? That you give to bank and you put inside the locker. Okay, you put inside a locker, and then what you get back from the bank is a key. Yes, you get the key back from the bank manager. So how we can apply this analogy in Git is this hello world. This hello world is my gold, silver, white money, black money, Bitcoin, stock, anything, right? This hello world is my gold for now. When I'm going to deposit this into the Git bank, I'm gonna get a key back, a key to get back this hello world. So this is how we can turn into analogy, right? So my next job is to give this key to bank and get my gold or silver back from the Git. Okay. So how I can get that? So for that, I need to utilize one more plumbing command. So one plumbing command is for writing inside the Git, storing inside the Git. The other command is retrieving, right? You will write and then you will retrieve. Yes. So now we are going to see other plumbing command, how we can extract the things from Git. Okay. So for that, you need to use, so most of us know this cat command, right? In Linux, it basically concatenates two files, or if you pass one file, it dumps the content of the file. That's a cat command in the Linux. In similar note, Git has done command known as git cat file. So this command accepts a flag. P is for pretty print. Pretty print means if I give you this key, I will need a pretty content, the content of the content that you stored. So I would need the pretty, uh, basically get this key and give back my gold to me. Okay. And then what we're gonna do? We're gonna fail, deliberately fail, and learn from the mistakes. Okay. So I know this command is going to fail. Okay. So this command is now fail. Let's understand the error. So not a Git repository or any of the parent directories.git. So what this error trying to tell me is that is very misleading. I don't understand this error. Why? It is saying there is a no Git repository. It is finding there is a no Git repository or any parent directory. But then my question is, why do you need this? I am here to just store the hello world. Why do you need it this? Okay. So this is a bit misleading error. So what I need to do is, uh, first we need to understand what actually happened uh, with this error. Why? Because this error is pretty misleading. So first, let's focus next 10 minutes to understand the actual meaning of this error. And that was one of the core reasons that I have taken the Hello World program for you. Okay. So if I go back to Hello World program, this statement, the return 0, right? So whenever you return from your function, any language doesn't matter. If you are Java.NET, when you return from the main function, operating system kill that process. Okay, this is a rule of operating system. that process gets killed, terminated. So let's understand. Do I have a diagram for that? Okay, let's do one thing. I will draw it for you. So what happened when you run or execute any program, any command line program? This is the entire RAM, the random access memory in your computer. Your program gets executed here, somewhere here. So this is my Git program. Okay. Now listen, we are learning very important part of operating system to understand this error. So when you run Git first time, let's say Git, let's do one thing. What we do is we will understand how this entire line gets executed in the memory. So first you have run echo. So what happened? Echo program gets started. Echo programs has completed execution and give us a string back called hello world. Then this program dies. Okay, this is very important. After this, echo program dies. Why? Because it returns main function. And then we have this hello world somewhere stored in the memory, where we will not see it right now, but somewhere in the memory it is stored, RAM. And then this pipe operator pass this hello world to input to the git command. Git taken that input as a terminal from the terminal and then provided some output. Let's say that output is the key file. This is our output key, somewhere stored in the memory. Okay. Now what happened? After doing that, Git dies. But do you see the problem? When Git dies, whatever memory that has stored, it also gone. What happened? Whatever you have written, that is also gone. Why? Because your operating system, when your operating system, what does? When your process terminates, it killed and reclaim all the memory of the program. That's a basic fundamental. Okay. Now problem is, I got this key. Let's make this scenario more real life. You have a bank. You have a bank. Let's say dollar. Your bank, and you are a customer. Okay. Let's say this bank gives you 15% of interest for your gold, and you have deposited hello world gold in this bank. You come tomorrow or maybe in 6 hours, you find there is no bank. This is a chaotic situation, right? The similar thing happened when you try to store hello world. You get the key back, but because of operating system or Git has done its work, Git gets evicted out of memory, and that entire memory area gets cleaned, wiped out, and that's the reason we didn't get your back. But then why it is showing such kind of error? That's where a state concept comes into the picture. That's where your state concept comes into the picture, right? You have done Terraform as well, right? Recently, Avinash Bhai have taken a Terraform session, right? There is a state file in Terraform, right? So state is nothing but the your context, your information. So what I mean by state is, I wanted a way where Git has, after doing these things, right? After writing this, it just into memory. It shouldn't write into memory. It also should have written somewhere in the permanent storage, right? So RAM is a temporary storage. We know RAM is an ephemeral storage. So I must have somewhere it is written down into hard disk or SSD. Only then I will able to extract, right? Because every time when I type Git, every time I'm gonna type Git, after executing the command, Git is going to kill, evicted out of memory for sure. So how I can do that? And that's the where very much important concept, the state. So what is happening here is, if we go back here, this persistence, right? So imagine if you are a Python developer, and if you are creating an application for employee management system. So what you do employee equal to new employee, right? That's you have done. Anybody who's from programming background, these have done numerous times, right? And then you basically said employee's first name, last name, right? And then gender, age, salary, and then you insert into the database. Yes, that's what you do. This all information we store into database. That's what your Facebook is also doing, right? In Facebook, you give your first name, last name, email, and but what if I don't insert this into database? What's gonna happen? After your program execution, every memory allocated to every bit of memory allocated to this object going to be garbage collected. Yes, that's gonna happen if you don't store into the database. Same thing is happening with Git. So there are so understand there are in programming there are two types of persistence of two types. One is in memory, one is in memory, and the other is permanent. So non-volatile memory. So non-volatile means it can be a file, it can be database, anything. Yes, either it will be in file or it will be in a database. What we have seen, the error is because of in-memory persistence. Why? Because every time you type Git does something for you and it goes out of memory. This is very much critical. This is a Linux thing, or is an operating system thing. Any command line program you type, it does work and it gets out of memory. So the problem with Git in this context was this is purely new process of Git, and this Git doesn't know what earlier process of Git did. That's the reason it was complaining that I'm this is some completely new for me. I don't know what you're talking about. So what it means is that this guy, while saving Hello World, haven't take enough consideration to store it into the hard disk or SSD or your non-volatile storage. And that's the reason we are seeing this here. Okay. So my next uh, step, or let's say we are following algorithm, right? This is kind of algorithm. So first we have hashed the object. Next step is I got error. Okay, I cannot derive that object because of the state management. Because after writing this object into the memory, Git has died, exited out of memory. And that's the reason the next time we are filing Git, it doesn't have any context of what happened before. So imagine if you are on 3-tier architecture or for DevOps, you have seen this. To store, you have used Redis container or Redis virtual machine. Why? Because your database, writing to database is heavy, because you need to consider IO operations every time, right? So Redis is your distributed in-memory store. Even if you are serving images from your website, what you do? Use CDN, Cloudflare, right? Why you use that? Because fetching images from your hard disk, it will be very difficult. And we don't know where this database is stored. It might not be in India, it might be somewhere in US. But your CloudFront or Akamai, they are edge cached. So they are very near to your location. So this Akamai might be in India as well. And that's the reason you will get this response very fast. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is the state is very much important. And there is no way for Git to identify what was happened before. I need is to understand so as a developer, I need to tell Git, hey Git, just not only write into the memory, also store it in hard disk. So that next time when I fire Git, the new Git program will get to know that, okay, it is somewhere in hard disk. Okay. but most of you know how to fix this error. I know most of you know how to fix this error, but we will not fix it right now. What we'll do, we will create one more mistake. Why? Because that's how we're gonna learn, and that's how we're gonna understand. So what we're gonna do is now we need to write into hard disk, and for that you need to use -w flag to write in a non-volatile or persistence layer of Git. What we need to do is we need to write into a hard disk layer, right? Now again we will do one more mistake and we will again understand that mistake. So here, when I'm going to write it, look at the error, exactly same error. Look at this, exactly same error. Earlier it was misleading, but this time it was exactly pinpoint error. Mohit, I didn't understand. Earlierly you said this is a misleading and this is a now proper error. Why it was misleading here and why it is not misleading over here? The reason is that here we are trying to read a key which is not present at all. That's the reason it was contradictory. It is a misleading. But here the error is super simple. What this time this error trying to say is that, now look how it is trying to say is that. So what Git is saying, hey Mohit, if you are going to interact with Git program, when I say interact, I will allow you to interact in memory of Git. So you are allowed to do in-memory operations with Git. And I'm okay to do that. But if, this is what Git is saying, but if you want something to be stored into the permanent storage, like a hard disk, SSD or hard disk, then you need to give me some kind of structure. I need to do something else. So when you, if you're in Java, Python, .NET, when you do employee E equal to new employee, this new employee is nothing but your constructor. It's a constructor of your class, right? And what it does, the job of constructor 2 is initialize the members of the class, right? The same thing what it is I want. If you want to write into the non-volatile memory area, if you want to write non-volatile memory area, then I need some kind of structure so that I can store it in a hard disk. I cannot directly store into the directory. No, I need some kind of mini file system to store it. Otherwise, I can only help you to interact with Git in memory persistence. I said there are two types of persistence. One is in memory, and the other is non-volatile or permanent storage, like database or file. Those who are from little bit programming background, this concept in your programming language is known as serialization. Those who are developers who are listening to us, this concept is known as serialization. So in Java, you have serializable interface or serialized attribute in .NET. So this concept is known as serialization from the programming perspective. Those who are not programming, doesn't matter. You just need to understand that Git will not directly able to write into the hard disk unless you haven't initialized it. Are we super clear so far? Just a quick audience check. Yes, everybody understanding this? Why we are getting so many errors and how we are fixing this? Yes. What I'll do, I will just put this command here, right? And now your favorite command of Git. Yes, we'll do Git init. Why? Because this is required from the persistence layer. And which persistence layer? The persistence of SSD, hard disk. If you need to store, I would need to initialize Git. Okay. Now what we're gonna do? We're gonna see again different error. So what I will do now, look, just focus on this error, okay? This was the error before. Now what I'll do, I will type same command again, cat file. But this time look at the error, not a valid object name, which is right. Why? Because it is looking at some Git location for this object and it is not found. And that is correct. Why? Because we haven't executed the write into hard disk command. We have done this before, but we have faced error. So what I need to do is I need to write in hard disk first. This time it allowed me to write. It didn't stop me, right? So that means I should now able to get it back. So now I'm able to store hello world inside the Git and I'm able to retrieve hello world back. Now I'm enough confident that Git is able to store hello world as a string inside the hard disk. Now I'm pretty much confident with Git that, okay, so with this, I can now provide Git with all my .python file, all my YAML files, all my config files. Yes, cloud formation, all those stuff, Helm charts. Why? Because now I have that guarantee. If I stored something into Git, I'm getting it back from the Git. We'll take a small pause here. We'll like to understand, are we good so far? Yes, any questions? I'm happy to take first questions and then we will see how Git is storing that content and then we'll open up for the questions. Yes, Avinash, if you are there, maybe you can just take questions from YouTube so that, or has anybody tried this? Are they getting the same key? If you type the commands exactly as is, you are gonna get exactly same output. Trust me, if you don't mistake, in typing, that's the reason I have provided all the commands. Okay, how do you resolve merge conflict effectively? So for that, you first need to understand why merge conflict have happened. So generally, merge conflict is there because you and your colleagues have made, let's say you are working on a.python file, for example, you are working on some Python code and and your friend is also working on the same file, let's say a.python. And then you have exactly same code. You have uh, exactly two different codes on the same line. That's the reason you face a conflicting situation. So while resolving conflict, either you should know of the enough coding or context of what your colleague is or colleague want to implement. That's the one thing. And second thing, you have to ensure that solving those merge conflicts should not result into any coding errors. Yes. So you need to basically compare both the two files and then find out what is required from your colleague's code, what is required from your code, and then accordingly you should bring those statements into that file, merge it, and then you should build it locally. You should try to check that your code is working as expected and your colleague code is also working as expected. Only then you will able to say that you have merged effectively. Yes, this is very much last topic, to be honest. Understanding entire merge will take more than 2 to 3 hours. because to understand merge, we first need to understand, because if you see this diagram, those who are from the YouTube, if you see this diagram, the merge is at version control layer. So to properly understand merge, you have to understand this layer, then you have to understand this layer. There are some concepts in this layer, and then you will be able to properly understand merge, right? So what was the outcome of today's session is, we have done Git init a lot of the times, right? Every day and night, when you work with code base, you do Git init. What we have learned today is why we need to do Git init. Why? The reason behind Git init. And this is just one command of Git. Imagine we have Git add, Git commit, Git push, Git pull. We have to give invest enough amount of time to build that understanding inside out. That's where you're gonna become a level of subject matter expert. Why? Because your DevOps entry point starts with Git. Because when you push code, either Bitbucket, in code commit, anywhere, that's where your pipelines get triggered. So what I mean is, if you push the bad code or not working code, if your DevOps pipeline has hundreds of clusters or cloud, nothing gonna save you. Because ultimately, the entire process of DevOps ultimately going to deploy your code somewhere in some virtual machine in some data center globally. And if this code is not correct, whether you do Terraform, whether you do EC2, AKS, EKS, cloud native, nothing gonna help you. Why? Because this is the entry point. Your code has to be working. Sometimes developer does do check in write code, but it gets wrongful merge while planning out DevOps branching strategies. And if that code is wrongly merged, then ultimately who is gonna caught? The DevOps person is gonna caught. Why? Because developer has done his or her job, push the code. After pushing the code, that's where your roles and responsibility comes to the picture. So to get effective understanding of merging, rebase, branching strategies, this is how we should focus on each and every command with thorough understanding of the concepts, the architecture. Once you understand the architecture, not just Git, any future distributed version control tool, you will easily able to digest or grab. Okay, I get Saigiri response that's getting same key. Ideally, you should get same key. So then what happened? Where I can see this, how Git has stored, right? So what you need to do is, you need to go into this folder, Git avis folder. So where I'm going to get is, I need to go into users and then my user and then Git underscore avis. So Git underscore avis. Yeah, this is Git underscore avis. So I will just zoom in. So when you do Git init, Git has created this .git directory inside your folder. Again, there is one critical important rule of operating system. If your folder name or file name is preceded by a dot, then it becomes hidden file or folder. This is very important. If you start your folder name or file name with dot, it becomes hidden. So Mohit, how you can see this? I can see this because I have turned on this option, hidden items. So if I uncheck this, you will not see anything. If you want to see this magic again, if I go back and if I type ls here, I will not see that. It's nothing. But if I type ls-a, I will see this hidden folder, .git. Okay. Now let's go quickly and understand how Git has stored that. So go to hidden items. So you need to follow to your directory, go inside .git folder and look at the folder very much similar to the command that we have seen today, object. Why? Because this hello world is nothing but an object, right? But how it is stored in the Git, ignore this info and pack folder, look at this folder, 3F, and then look at the key. Look at the key. The first two letters of key is denoted as a folder in Git. First two letters of key is denoted as a folder in Git, and then the rest of the letters. So then rest of the letters is denoted as a file in the Git. So if you, I don't want to read this long string, but let's focus on 8F, 8D2B, 8F, 8D2B. And if I go here, 8F, 8D2B. So this is how Git is storing the rest of the characters as a file name. The question should be, Mohit, what is this length? Who decided this length? Who has decided the key length? So that is depend on your which hashing algorithm you have used. So you might have heard this SHA, right? So SHA has multiple variations of hashing algorithm. So SHA is also known as SHA1. So Git is for now it is using SHA1, and SHA1 algorithm is 160 bit long. So 160 bit means, but if you see, you haven't seen any letter above F. So what it means is it is hexadecimal. So one hexadecimal character takes 4 bit, right? Because it is 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. So this is known as 0 and this is known as F, right? So one hexadecimal character takes 4 bit. So if I divide by 4, it is a 40 hexadecimal character. It is 40 hexadecimal character, and this is how this is derived, because Git is using SHA1. So if Git is tomorrow uses SHA 256, then the key will be 256 bit. It will be a 256 bit, means it is 64 hexadecimal character long. When Git is going to use 256 algorithm, SHA algorithm. So with that, I hope I'm able to give you a thought process that you require for the Git. How Git is storing your content, number one, and number two, very important interview question for senior engineer perspective or for FANG or MANG perspective. Why you need to do Git init? Why you have to do Git init? Because so far we have followed this, right? Do Git init as a workflow. Do Git init, then Git add, then Git commit, then push. But why you going to do that? To understand that, we need to understand some concepts of OS, some concepts of programming, like hashing, right? With the help of this, we will able to derive why I need to do Git init. So I'm open for further more questions. We have 10 to 15 minutes of time left. But what I'm going to do, I'm also going to give you a quiz. Let's see how much you have engaged, how much you have understood out of the training. So let me do one thing. I will just copy paste this so that you can get the quiz. Okay. I'm not going to check how you solve this, but be honest. This is for you. And meanwhile, I'm open for question as well. So Avinash, any questions in the YouTube as well? Any feedback from anybody? More than happy to take that.
Don't see any more questions in YouTube.
Okay. So even people can follow me if there are any questions which I couldn't cover in this short time span. But I hope this helped. Uh, so, I just while you submitting the form, I just want to give a background of the session. Uh, I very first time we made me and Avinash made at KubeCon, last day of KubeCon, when I am and me and Shubham basically going back to our location, and Avinash took us a very best biryani, Nawab biryani at Hyderabad, and I mean it's a really good gesture because we was very meeting very first time, and I don't want to I'm not meaning I don't mean as a repay, but I want to do something as out of gesture, and for a trainer who is from a background we have seen, right, his video, his background is from hardship. He has literally achieved. He has established Aviz. He's helping out the community. He's delivering. He's a community builder. So, as a trainer, what he would like, as a trainer, he would like that his community should grow in terms of knowledge, and that's the reason. This is what I would say as a return gesture. We will certainly meet for lunch and dinner next time, but this is what the least I can do for the trainer who is completely investing his time and energy to build this solid community, right? So, yeah, I mean, please fill the form. Uh, I would like to understand how you get this session, how much value you have read from this session. Always try to, so once you start learning with the tools, commands, your next step should be likely understanding what you have. So, introspect, this is a DevOps world, right? This is no one is perfect. We, every one of us has to introspect and improve, right? So this is I have learned very hard way that I need to introspect after spending 13 to 14 years in industry, and then I have started understanding, okay, this is how Git is working, right? But not everybody should spend their 14 years to understand something, right? So this is where such initiatives where experienced people can share their insights to help you prepare for interviews, to grab interviews. So please feel free to connect. Uh, and I'm more than happy, Avinash, if there are any other sessions, even sessions from you, I will certainly join that.
For sure, Mohit. So, yeah, it was a very good and informative session. So, yeah, I mean, so actually in this session we have discussed only just about get in it,
Yes,
and definitely we can take it as a kind of we can do a follow-up session on
yes,
other primary
yeah,
commands, at least very basic commands.
yeah. At least
So,
branching strategies we can do, branching strategies for DevOps. So that is something
mhm,
we can also plan. Because
yeah,
in the interest of time, like 2 hours is also on weekend they are spending. That's really appreciable,
yes.
right? So that is an interest of time. I have covered why I get in it. Maybe sometimes we need to look into the branching strategies perspective. So
Hmm.
yeah, more than happy to do that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely we can plan, we can definitely plan for the community.
Any feedback from the team? Any YouTube? In case if you're following, any feedback? Any questions from YouTube side? If not, then I think we can call it for a day. Or yeah, open for any questions if anyone has any questions for sure. So the gist is uh, basically the entire session, if I need to summarize, is to understand what is happening behind the scene. If we don't know, that is completely fine. That's where we should strive for. We should ask right questions, and we need to go behind the scenes of any tool. And the reason is that if you go behind the scenes of any tool, then you will get the foundational concepts. Why that tool is, you know, why that tool is so much great and provide value addition into the DevOps process. And tomorrow, if you need to customize something, because there are a lot of time we have seen in Kubernetes we have custom resource definition. So not all out of the box features going to work exactly as per your need. So you need to customize, you need to extend it, you need to be the tool has to be very flexible, and that's the reason a lot of the companies are utilizing open source tools, right? So yeah, understand why behind it, and trust me, we will do lot of improvement in terms of our understanding and for better career. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you very much for joining this session on Sunday. Wish you all a very happy New Year and a great weekend. Yeah, uh, thank you, Sridhar. Thank you, Sarin. I can see the feedback from Sridhar, from Sarin. Try out all those commands. This session will be on YouTube. Uh, you can try these commands, and if there is some doubts or issues that you are facing, please feel free to reach out. Me, Avinash. Okay, tell them. Okay, bye all. See you, Avinash.
Yeah, thank you, Mohit. Thanks everyone for joining this session, and hope it is informative. And see you again. And thank you very much, Mohit, once
Bye.
again. Bye.
Yes, bye.
Thank you.